All right. ng-conf. My name's Sergio, and before I start, I do have one question. Who here likes karaoke? Raise your hands, yeah? All right. Yeah, I see a lot of hands who apparently some people don't like karaoke. I hope to change your mind during my talk. And today's goal is just that. I'm going to take that passion that some of us have for music and karaoke and kind of merge it with the passion that all of us have for the web and Angular and all things browser, right? So today I'm going to show you how I built a web-based karaoke machine. This is what it looks like. Let me go into it and show you. Okay, so this is my app. It's only a proof of concept, so it only has 2 songs available in it right now. But this is the list of songs, and once we click on one, this is the player screen. Once we click play, yeah, things start playing. And notice on my console how, as I say things, the things that I say are coming up on there. And then the cool thing is, anytime I say a word that's supposed to be on the screen, points will come up. You know the rules, and so do I. All right, where's everybody at? Let's get pumped up now. We wouldn't get this. So as you can see here, things are coming up on the console. As I say the right words, points get increased. So that's a quick intro to my app. All right, let's get back to the presentation. All right, so before we go on, a little bit about myself. Like I said, my name's Sergio Cruz. I do live in Orlando, Florida. I'm super passionate about JavaScript. I am an instructor. Some of you might know me from the time I spent over at Code School and Pluralsight. I do have courses on there. These days, I'm a full-time software consultant. I build products just like the one you just saw, except a little more useful, a little bit more, profitable. You gotta make money to survive, right? So I've been helping some companies scale their products. And most recently, I've turned into my latest passion, which is to become a senior karaoke advocate. And that's what I'm under, the umbrella that I'm under here today with you all, right? So if you want to keep talking karaoke and Angular after this talk, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter at #Serge. Let's keep the excitement going after this. All right, now you probably didn't think you might know where karaoke came from coming into this conference today. But I will show you how it was invented and why. And it all started in Japan in the 1970s. Okay, back then, the live scene in Japan was super lively. It was super popular. That's what people went, and they just loved seeing people sing. But here's the deal. Here's the catch. They didn't go to see live bands necessarily. They went to see themselves sing. That was the culture at the time. That's just what happened. So you go to a bar, you go to a venue, and you just sing along. And then there was a person, his name, I'm going to try to pronounce it, Daisuke Inwa. He made a mistake. He was a band manager at the time, and he made the mistake of double booking one of his bands. Unfortunately, the same band was supposed to play 2 different venues on the same night, and obviously that was impossible. But the real interesting part of the story is not so much the mistake is made, but the solution that he came up with. You see, he understood his culture. He understood why people liked music. So instead of arranging with a second band to go to the venue that didn't have a band to play that night, he got a cassette tape. And he sent a cassette tape instead of a band. And that turned out to be a huge success, believe it or not. Apparently, people didn't care about live bands at all. So at the time, music licensing in Japan was a little bit difficult. Inwa, he used to be a musician himself, so he knew the ins and outs of the industry. He packaged his little cassette into an actual product. He took care of the licensing, and made sure all the artists got paid their dues and whatnot, and he kind of distributed and licensed that product to all of the different venues. And that was the beginning of what we know today as karaoke. Now, that was in the 70s. Then the 80s came along, and this is when innovation started to kind of take off. This is when you start seeing karaoke machines, properly built karaoke machines with lyrics on the screen. Yeah, lyrics. As well as, since it was popular and people, they enjoyed going, but sometimes you play through all the songs and you had no reason to come back. Well, that's where scoring came along. If I were to use a modern term, gamifying, right? They started to gamify the whole system. So scoring. So anyway, this is the story of karaoke through the 70s and into the 80s. Now let's come back to 2018 and web karaoke. I'll show you how I built it. And it really took 3 main steps. And the first one was syncing audio with song lyrics. Then I get into interpreting text from speech, from the things that you say out loud. And then we combine these 2 concepts to calculate some scores. We want to gamify it as well, make it fun, right? And of course, we used Angular to build this, especially our X.js being a first-class citizen in there, made it super fun. All right, so here's a quick architecture review of how I built the app. So there's a parent component. That component is called player, the player component. That is our container component. I call it container because that's what holds all of our data. Then we have 3 main child components, child of player. It was lyrics, audio, and speech. Let's get into them. So let's talk about that first step, syncing music and lyrics. You all saw the app works a little bit something like this. When the right cue comes up, when the cue comes up, the right lyric line shows up on the screen. And the way I built this was pretty similar to watching TV with closed captioning or movies with subtitles. When the right time comes up, the next line is supposed to be displayed, right? So in our case here, at second 37, the line, I just want to tell you how I'm feeling, right? Like that comes up. And then at 39, gotta make you understand, never gonna give you up comes up at 43, and so on. So to make this happen, I used a file format called LRC. And LRC files are text-based. They look a little something like this. I want you to pay attention to the lines, right? So next to each line, within the brackets are the seconds. And the way it works is just that. When that second comes up, you're supposed to show that line. Now, there were 2 main reasons why I thought LRC files was such a good solution to this app that I was trying to build to show the lyrics on the screen. The first reason is because they're really easy to work with. They've been around for a long time, tons of tools available for them. So I went on NPM, found this little project called lrc.js, and that project, it allows us to parse that text file that you saw into this. This JSON-looking format, it has a lines array. Within that lines array, we have items with 2 properties. The first one is time. That time property is a number, and it's in seconds. And then the second one is the text that's supposed to show up at that second. Now, that was the first reason. The second reason was this person's GitHub page. So I started looking up LRC files online to kind of test out my app with and make sure it worked. So as part of their dot files, they just committed a bunch of gangsta rap there for me. And yeah, it was really helpful to test out the app. So thank you, random person from GitHub, for committing all of your gangsta rap. That made it a joy to code out the app. All right, so syncing audio with LRC formats. What does that look like? So I'm using the native audio browser API. This is available in modern browsers. And yeah, you instantiate from the native audio class. You can pass in a source into it. That source is usually a string with the URL of your song. Then I'm using the observable.from event, right, from our X.js. This turns any native DOM APIs into a reactive stream, which is quite amazing. So yeah, anytime our callback gets called in this event that I'm showing you here, it's the time update event. Yeah, it's going to call our callback with the current second variable. So this is, like I said, in seconds. It's in numbers. So you kind of start seeing how it all comes together, right? How we can use that second to kind of find the next line of our lyrics in that JSON that you just saw. That was a contrived example. My actual component looked a little bit like this. It's on ng-init, we instantiate it. We instantiate from the native audio class. And a couple of things I want you to look at here. First one is the output. So remember, we had a container. That container holds our data. My goal with this component was anytime there's a change, anytime there's progress, that's what that time update event is. As you're playing the song, right, that callback is getting called with a new second. I want to send that to my parent so that it knows what to do with it. So this is when on-time update that emit, that's what it does. But since this is a component, there's also a UI portion to it. And this is what this.currentTime. We pass that through a little formatter to churn seconds into human readable, a time string kind of thing. So this is me using the audio class within Angular. So these two things, the lyrics and the audio, is kind of taken care of. Audio sends data, emits data back into our container, into our player component. That sends back down to lyrics that has that array of lyrics that you saw here. We can figure out what the next line should be that needs to pop up. So that's kind of how that all comes together. But that still leaves aside the speech part of it. And this is where we get into interpreting text from speech. And to use that, a great solution was the HTML5 Web Speech Recognition API. If you've ever looked it up online, this is an example that comes up a lot. It was built by a team over at Google. And the words that you're seeing appear on the screen, this is literally me speaking out loud into my computer's microphone. So the way that works is when you click on record, the browser will ask for permission if whether or not you will allow it to use your microphone. Once it does, it's going to interpret or detect the words that you're saying. And in the case of this app, it will just display it on the screen. Now, what I love about this API is that it's actually pretty straightforward to use. Let's look into it. So this is how we go about using it. Same idea, we instantiate from the speech recognition native class. Now we do need to watch out because this is experimental technology. So a lot of browsers still have the little vendor prefixes on there. So you have to make sure you account for that when using the speech recognition. But same idea, we'll use the from event from our X.js. The event that is that we're going to be subscribing to here is called result, and our callback function will get called with the event variable, and that event has a results property. The results property has a multi-dimensional array. Looks a little weird, but then within the second element of that multi-dimensional array, you'll see that .transcript property. It's a string. It's literally what you just said. The reason it's multi-dimensional is because of all of the options that speech recognition allows you to do. If you recall from the previous slide, as I was saying, the words that were appearing on the screen. So yeah, that's a continuous, anytime it hears a word, it'll call the callback again. But when you're done speaking, it's going to look at the context of the sentence, make any corrections that it thinks it needs, and then it'll emit that event one last time, and it'll call it final. So yeah, subscribing or turning it into a reactive stream made it a breeze to work with. You'll see it here, but sometimes it would emit the same words over and over again. So using the distinct operator here, for example, would make this a lot more useful to use it within the app. And then at last, we call the recognition.start. That's what makes the browser ask you for permission. And once you give it that permission, it'll just start listening to what you say. Okay, so this was the contrived example. Let's look into how I used it within Angular. Same idea as audio, really. On init, we will instantiate it from the speech recognition. Then we'll use from event to subscribe to that result event. Anytime we get an event, we'll get that transcript. And same idea, we'll use output. We'll use the on-speech-found output, so we're able to send data back to our parent container. So we'll send that string back, and now the container will treat that data and figure out what it'll do with it. So this is my usage of it within Angular. Okay, so quick review. We had that container. We have data from lyrics and audio going into it. So now we know what the current line is, or at least the last few lines. It was all called in there. We also know what the latest things that you said out loud. The container can take that data and do cool things with it. And that's how we kind of get into scoring. That's how the score is actually calculated. We get transcript, again, the transcript from the recognition API. We'll compare that to the previous few lyric lines that you just said. And anytime there's a match, we'll look for an intersection between those. Imagine there are two arrays of really strings, and we just want to know if the words that are here kind of intersect with the words that are there. And then within my app, it actually got pretty interested. You know how it is, you start working on an app and you start thinking like what the other possibilities are. I installed a library called, I believe it was natural.js. It's a natural language processing library. I wanted to see if I said the word yours, as in this belongs to you, versus not yours, but your versus your, as in you are, if you'd be able to, to know if it was the same. And it turned out that worked. So that was the cool thing about it. Like, you just start playing around with things, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah, anytime you get a word right, we'll give you some points for that, and that's how that works. So let's take a better look at our demo, but with a catch. You all saw it worked with me. I want to invite somebody from the crowd to come up here and sing with me. Is there anybody there courageous? And I see some hands. You right here. Come up here. We got a microphone for you. Let's test out the app. Let's see if it works. I know it's end of day. Yeah, all right. Awesome. I know it's towards the end of the day, you're all tired. Let's wake up. Hopefully some of you will sing along. So, what's your name?
Chris.
Chris, thank you for being so courageous, Chris.
No problem.
All right, so I'll sing with you if you don't mind.
Right.
Let's rickroll ng-conf together.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's do it. So again, in here you'll see words being said. Chris, sing kind of close to my laptop because that's where the microphone is.
Sounds good.
Hope it's working. Yeah, I see some things here.
We're no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I. All the commitment's what I'm thinking of.
All right.
You wouldn't get this from any other guy. I just want to tell you how I'm feeling. Gotta make you understand. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna say goodbye. never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. We've known each other for so long. Your heart's been aching, but you're too shy to say it. Inside we both know what's been going on. We know the game and we're gonna play it. And if you ask me how I'm feeling, don't tell me you're too blind to see. What happened?
All right. Awesome. High five. Thank you. He's amazing. Such a good singer. I'm here embarrassing myself. All right, so apparently either my Mac's microphone sucks or this thing doesn't work, but you saw in the beginning that it did.
It's all live demos.
Yeah,
Always
it's how it
happens.
is. It's all good. Now, it's been fun up here, so stay right here.
Sure.
I want to take this to the next level. Why don't we all stand up and sing a little bit, you all? You're too tired. Come on, let's get up.
Woo.
Let's sing. Let's rickroll ng-conf, all of you, if you can. Yeah.
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you, never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye, never gonna tell a lie and hurt you, never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you, never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye, never gonna tell a lie and hurt you.
Give you up,
No, I don't sing that high.
give you up,
Never gonna give, never gonna give,
give you up,
I'm your back singer.
never gonna give, never gonna give.
give you up.
We've known each other for so long. Your heart's been aching, but you're too shy to say it. It's gonna both know what's been going on. We know the game, you're gonna play it. I just wanna tell you how I'm feeling. Gotta make you understand it. Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you, never gonna make you right, never gonna say goodbye, never gonna tell a lie and hurt you, never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you, never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye, never gonna tell a lie and hurt you, never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you.
Round of applause. Oh, my goodness. That was amazing. That was really good. We got 10 points.
Hey!
Let me let you in on a little secret. It's 5 points per word that's matched. So gotta match a few words.
I got two.
But I promise you, it's not that bad when you're trying it out at home. So thank you.
Hey.
You're good. Hey,
Thanks a lot.
that was amazing. Awesome. Yeah, he was great. Thank you. All right. Let's wrap this up. If you want to check out the app yourself, it's under my GitHub, sergiocruz.github.io/ng-karaoke. If you want to talk more karaoke about my senior karaoke advocate services, I'm happy to get in touch with you about that. But yeah, ng-conf, thank you so much. Let's all get pumped up for the party after here. I look forward to hanging out with all of you there, okay? Thank you.